After the longest offseason in the history of our sport, finally we get to say, welcome to the North American RLCS. And we kick off the new season with familiar faces in new places, Gen.G Mobile One Racing taking on OG Esports.
Stacks, this is arguably one of the most anticipated North American storylines that is going to be playing out, not only in this qualifier, but throughout the entire year. You've got Noli going up against his former team, one of the most, confusing roster moves at the time, but I think he feels secure. I think he feels good. Calm, JNAPS, everybody on the end of OG going up against the likes of Abjack, Chronic, and now First Killer. We're getting into it. Couldn't have asked for a better opener.
OG almost became a perfect example of how insecure teams really are in this new era. They mentioned it on the desk. Barely qualified to reach this stage, and now their very first match up against this buzzsaws. JNAP's lost control of that. Here goes apparently Jack. He's got First Killer coming up with him, but Calm there with the stop. A lot of possession though for Gen.G very early on here. You can tell they're very comfortable, even though they didn't do much in the offseason. They didn't play any of those events, and I wonder if maybe there's a sense of not tipping their hand too early and maybe kind of catching teams by surprise for a little bit longer than they did in the previous season.
I think that that's absolutely a fair assumption on the route that Gen.G wanted to go. Of course, just like you said, we didn't really get to see too much of them, but we're not unfamiliar with them, especially Jack and Chronic. They work so incredibly well together. They know they work well as a duo, but bringing in First Killer is more of the question. Although First Killer individually is absolutely insane, we are all curious, how does he fit in here, right? Well, as of now, he's fitting in incredibly. He's going up from the sky, down to the ground. Tried to get this one over to Jack there, not quite able to find him. Now it's Chronic's turn to the backboard. Great read here from JNAPS. Can place this one over into the corner. And now Gen.G on the retreat just for a short moment as Noli gets that clear.
Will take a boost for First Killer, but he's let that one get away from him. Noli with the intercept. JNAPS now hard off the backboard, and apparently Jack just a little too quick for Calm, and quickly back the other way. Gen.G scores the opening goal. It's First Killer.
It's such a team effort on this one too. You saw the pass, but Jack absolutely rushed forward, bumped Noli out of the way, gave First the most open net he could have hoped for in that, and the 1-goal lead goes to Gen.G.
Well, it's a kickoff that goes cleanly to Jack, and here we go again. Gen.G with even more zone time. Noli's got this one though. He's got JNAPS to his right. Can you do anything with it? No, not this time. As First Killer trying to line up a second touch. Does he have control? He does. It's apparently Jack. Good 50, but First Killer almost got in his way, and that floater is sent off by Noli. So not quite on the same page there. A little miscommunication out of Gen.G, but they do have the 1-goal lead. About to perhaps. It's apparently Jack. Nothing behind that shot as Noli saves it away. Anyway, Noli's going to have his hands full, I think, in this game and in this series. He had a huge role to play in OG surviving to get to this point, and he's tied up game 1.
Listen, if there's a person to have your eyes on today, it definitely is Noli, or at least in this series, right? There's so much motivation behind everything he is going to do in this matchup. And yeah, dude's not going to let up in it. Tied game now, just under 2 minutes to go here in this game number 1. But the one person I am curious when we are going to see them start to wake up is Calm. Calm's that really aggressive demoer that we all know and love. When he starts to wake up, I fear that that's when the challenge on Gen.G might be a little bit more difficult than they anticipated. But for now, Calm stays in net. Jack gets a shot, and it goes through.
I mean, this developed so quickly. Calm, I wonder if he was kind of caught in between going up and around for the kind of the squishy save, or if he was just going to turn around and get a good look at the field. Either way, took way too long to develop. He gets beat. The whole team gets beat. It's 2-1 now for Gen.G. First Killer and Abjack have the 2 goals. Product now with an assist to his tally. And here they go again. It is Chronic kind of telling Jack to run forward, and he came up completely empty, stole some boost out of the end, got the demolition, did Chronic. Now First Killer has nothing to play for, as that's taken away by JNAPS, and Nolly will try and trigger the counterattack. Nolly and JNAPS had to play out of their minds late in their final qualifying series to survive to this point. They will not be afforded those same opportunities against this Gen.G squad, which has become very apparent in the first 4 minutes plus.
Oh, they absolutely will not. There's going to be no mercy from Gen.G. And in particular, I would argue First Killer, right? First Killer is the one that came in as the replacement. So there's a lot riding on his name, a lot riding on his rep, you know, slotting into this new Gen.G roster. For now, though, they hold on to their lead. First Killer trying to turn that lead into 2 if possible. But with 30 seconds left, JNAPS wants to start the transition. Calm unable to collect that ball. It's going to be Nolly from the ground. Touch from Chronic. Centers this one over to Jack. This one goes through. And Gen.G Mobile 1 get a small comfort goal.
And that just about puts this game away, barring kickoff goal shenanigans. JNAPS unable to react to a challenge fastball out of AppJack. 3-1 the lead now. Gen.G just needs to not choke here on the kickoff, and they don't. This goes deep into OG territory. And you have to imagine now Gen.G can just kind of coast across the finish line for game 1. First Killer might add 1 to the tally. He does, and everything is falling apart at the end here for OG.
Yeah, just a few last-minute antics. So, another bump there from Jack to Nolly. Maybe a love bump saying, I missed you, man, but get out of my way. And it's time and time again, Gen.G, they're not going to let up, not even to the last seconds here. 5 left on the clock, but with a 3-goal lead, this one absolutely belongs to Gen.G once they hit the ground.
Replaced by Beast Mode and Daniel over on the G2 side, and then Calm, well, he lost Beast Mode and Daniel. Where's he going to line up? Well, right here with OG. They're up against it, though, as we go to Forbidden Temple for game number 2. First Killer is going to have that drop down to Chronic, and apparently Jack left all alone at the back, but with plenty of time to work with, and we'll see him battle with JNAPS, and Chronic will just take it all the way across. A lot of space to work with for Gen.G early on, and that's going to be a bad sign for OG as Chronic almost dunked it in. The shot there just off the post. Calm will clear it away. But once again, Gen.G all over OG.
Yeah, it is 1-1 at this point almost. And speaking of the one, you always see someone driven up forward, trying to go for a bump, opening up some more space. But now OG's doing the same. Calm pushed back, went for the demo onto Chronic, allowed the transition to come through for OG. It's just a question of how long can you keep that transition. It's Nolly up into the sky, off the ceiling. Tries to get the challenge on Jack. Shots headed towards the net, but it's slow enough for the save to come through.
Well, Calm, all he can do is just throw that up at the backboard. And listen, Calm, if he's going to be the enforcer, that's great, but those demos have to connect. When he goes headhunting, he has to take somebody off the field, or that style does not work. You can't just expect Calm to play like every other player on the field. That's not how he succeeds, as JNAPS trying to twirl through the air. Chronic there to stop him. Apparently Jack keeps control. Calm does land a demo here, but he kind of got caught in between. Am I going to take this? Is Nolly going to come up? Nolly didn't really take charge either, and Gen.G were afforded just that little extra second. And, well, you saw they at least got onto the other half of the field for the moment, and they're going to do so again. First Killer going to try to beat 2 all by himself, and he does!
Listen, that's the one. That's the man of the hour. And if you are a Gen.G fan, you are so happy with how this is working out. It's the one-on-one of the 2 versus 2, right? Nolly versus First Killer. First Killer goes on to him. The 1-goal lead goes back into Gen.G's favor. This is what we saw in game number 1. So the question is, how quickly does OG respond in this situation, especially when Gen.G's controlling pace of play?
You saw the pop-off there from Jack too. He is incredibly hyped for this opening match of the new era for Gen.G. Here's Chronic Diving straight in. J-Nap's there to stop him, but watch the second and third, and really the way Gen.G's been going, fifth chance opportunities for them, as apparently Jack plays that out to the corner. First killer back across. OG having to burn some boost, having to spend a lot of time going side to side and try to keep up with Gen.G. Jack got the bump in the air, but Noli's there, and they continue to wear down the OG defense, though. J-Naps couldn't get the powerful clear. That's killed right in front. Apparently, Jack can't sneak it through, as Noli was wise to his play.
Play's not gonna end here. Chronic trying to push through. Unfortunate touch there from Calm, but this one does find its way in. Gen.G go up by 2, and it is by the full force of Chronic.
I mean, what else can you do if you're OG? I mean, you're scrambling from one corner to the other. You're going from one post to the other. You're running low on boost. You're still getting peppered by shot after shot. There have been 9 shots already for Gen.G in this game. Go to 10 now with the 12 in the first game. It is just a beating right now.
They have friends and families, guys. Relax. My goodness. But you know what? It's first game of the season. You got to go completely full out, right? Make your statement. Again, nobody has seen Gen.G for pretty much this entire off season, and it has been a long one. There's been many events that they could have participated in, many of which that we saw OG participate in, and they did extremely well. But Gen.G, they've been saving it for this day, and it's working out exactly the way they would have hoped.
Not always about getting the best player, it's about getting the right player, and I think Gen.G have done both. They had first killer, he's got an assist here, as apparently Jack with the wide turn, and a 4-goal lead now for GGM1. They just continue to pour it on. The shots in this series, Herc, are 24-4.
That's just insane. I don't even know what I would have predicted the shot count to be. I expected Gen.G to come out shooting insanely, but the fact that almost every shot is of quality is, I think, what is even more impressive. Every single one is a threat. Every single one is on target, pretty much, and if not more, right? So now, OG, you're down by 4, just over a minute to go. You also potentially are headed to match point. What do you do? How do you get the reins back? I think the biggest thing, somebody needs to initiate these transitions a lot faster than they have been before, because as soon as OG breaks into that orange half, just like we're seeing now, they almost always immediately get sent back with a follow-up shot being continued forward.
Apparently Jack just shadowing Calm there, as now Chronic will at least pester Noli a little bit. His former teammate is apparently Jack with the save on a rare shot out of OG. That's only the 3rd for Noli, 4th for the team. As now we're just kind of coasting through, going through the motions in the final 30 seconds. First killer going after Noli, and Noli had to dance around him on the backboard to make that save, but it doesn't really matter. Another one saved off the crossbar, that time by Calm. The only question now is, what will the final score be? How many more will Gen.G be able to add here? And can OG break up the shutout this time? It's not looking likely, as the final few seconds will tick away. And just like it was in the fall of 2022, it's Gen.G's world, and everybody else has got to figure out the blueprint. It's a veteran squad on the OG Esports side, but they're down 0-2. Neither game has been close. They've got to pull off a miracle if they're going to prolong this series and start off 1-0 in the Swiss, as opposed to the opposite. Here goes Chronic. His shot on target just about. It hit the corner of the post, and Calm will gratefully take this away. OG catches a break. Can they capitalize on it? That's the demo that they need out of Calm, but it doesn't turn into much.
And right now, OG, like you said, kind of working on creating a miracle for themselves, but it's one game at a time. It's nothing we haven't seen this squad go through before, right? This is almost very similar to how we saw them even get to this top 16 Friday today, right? They had to go through the lowers. It was a scary series for everybody that went to game 5, but they prevailed. So like we've said time and time again, it's this veteran icon squad of leftovers. So if there's anybody that's going to be able to adapt and figure things out at the last second, I would argue it would be OG, but hopefully somebody gets back in time before we see a repeat of games 1 and 2.
When this series concludes, just as we did in the past on Fridays, we will take you around the rest of the opening round of Swiss and kind of check in on some of those other matches. Of course, OG would like us to stay here quite a bit longer as Calm has that tied up in the corner with First Killer. JNAPS kind of waiting, trying to get somebody to dive in. Finally got what he wanted and won that ball all the way downfield. A chance for OG to get some offense going, but apparently Jack instead right down the center. JNAPS and Calm both up, and there's nobody to chase this down as it's all First Killer, all apparently Jack, and he almost got to that off of Calm.
Here comes Calm. He's going to take this one down to the ground, over to the sidewall, just trying to get around the defense, but First Killer just waiting for him. 2 up, but Noli's the one to clear forward. And that transition's gonna get cut short with a pass from Jack over to First Killer. First Killer trying to reset this one down over to Chronic. Instead, Noli takes it away. Nice 50 on it to keep this in possession for OG for now. And JNAPS trying to get around the corner. This could be a center for Noli to take a shot. It goes just to the top of the crossbar. Enough for Chronic to make the save and the clear into mid. But now the anticipation from OG is coming out a little bit faster. You saw Calm in the mid try and stop the transition from Gen.G into their own half. And, well, it's happening. They're doing it a lot faster, a lot better. At least they're not being stuck in their own half as long as they were in games 1 and 2.
Well, not that any of the players on Gen.G needed the reminder as a blistering shot saved away by Calm. Acrobatic save coming down off the backboard. One of the toughest things to do is close out a veteran team. We know how capable OG is with their backs against the wall, and they've got a lead here in game 3.
There you have it. The first sign of life from OG. Calm off the ceiling, leaves this one down for JNAPS to finish through, and they find their way first lead for OG in the series.
Yeah, they got scored on very early on in game 1, got an equalizer out of Noli, and that's been it. Just the second goal scored by OG in the series. Looking to add to it, though. They spent a lot more time on the orange half than they have in any other game. But here's apparently Jack. He's got Chronic ahead, and JNAPS. First touch got away. Second touch, he stayed with it. And now First Killer around the boards, and Calm should have this. He had to get around First Killer, though, who almost got him from behind. And now here goes apparently Jack, just trying to bounce that back out towards Chronic. He may have to back out soon. He does, and First Killer takes over. First Killer going to work, looking to set up Chronic. Instead, it's apparently Jack. Everybody had their eyes on Chronic. Loose ball that nobody could get to except Jack.
You saw Abjack make that hard turn after collecting that boost there to go back and finish up. But the one thing I will note is how much Jack was even lurking. I think Gen.G knew they were waiting for that one tiny moment where it takes that last second push up for that last defender to shoot that shot forward, catch OG off guard just a tiny bit. There's Jack once again going for those demos, trying to open up anything for his team, and now this is looking a little bit more reminiscent of game number 2. OG stuck in their own half for what feels like longer than they would like. A shot from First Killer off the backboard. Chronic's gonna take one of his own. JNAPS with the save. The transition coming through. Calm's gonna take us to the sky in the corner here. Noli with a shot on target, but Chronic keeps him out. Follow-up from JNAPS is slow, but no amount of 50s is going to get this ball through.
But they have been wearing down Gen.G. Not a lot of boost in the tank across the board. Chronic's finally got some. Jack's out of the play. Here goes JNAPS. Chronic used that boost to make that stop, and then First Killer to the rescue, getting that back out to the center line. One of the better opportunities for OG to get on the board again. Now Chronic lines up the double, and JNAPS slams the door shut. He's got to get a hand up again, though. First Killer, double, triple, stopped by Calm, and Nolly stones Chronic as well.
No clips coming through just yet. I say that as First Killer's the one to get the ball here. Tries to go up to the sky. Noli stops him. 3 seconds to go here. Tied game. Does Gen.G take us? No, they take us to OT as this one hits the ground.
Golden goal to put away OG or prolong the festivities here in the opening round between Gen.G and OG. Calm there with JNAPS. That leaves Nolly to kind of shadow this with apparently Jack coming on. Nolly the initial stop, and JNAPS quickly pounces on this. Grabs that midfield boost at least, but he's conceded possession to Chronic. It bounces high up for first killer. Apparently Jack lurking. Calm took him out and almost didn't matter. First killer narrowly missed.
Just the tiniest of misses to keep OG in the series. Pass over to Noli. Shot on target. Crossbar down and in. And OG get another life.
They do indeed. It's Nolly who is critical. Try to survive and advance here in round one. Try to pull off a reverse sweep. Again, the story continues to write itself as Nolly keeps OG alive.
I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better series unless it doesn't go all the way to game 5. But I think everybody wants that script. Shot from Jack just a bit high. And something that feels a little bit different is, well, OG keeping Gen.G off for pretty much the first 20 seconds of this game. First killer's shot actually turns into a 50 from Noli and a shot that gets out. Jack's gonna keep him out here and we stay 0-0.
Unlucky there with the full clear chest. It was right on the dotted line, but caught it up for the post that it didn't roll right in. Here goes Noli though again. More opportunities for OG. Trying to get that out of the corner. JNAPS now giving a little bit of time, but Chronic is all over him. Here goes first killer. Set up there as it's challenged away by JNAPS. Apparently Jack doesn't have another touch. And Calm can just take this right across the center line. Not a whole lot doing here for OG, but more than in the past, as apparently Jack picks Nolly's pocket clean in the air.
I feel like in this situation, if you are OG, you gotta look at it as glass half full, right? You are doing more than you have in the past. It's been progress with each game moving forward, so that's a good sign. The biggest challenge, though, that you are facing is slowing down Gen.G and taking that ball away from them for extended periods of time. I know Noli I've seen this a few times in this particular game where he wants to take it to the sky to keep it away from them, but I think Gen.G are starting to anticipate that. It's low on boost for OG right now as they get sent back into their own half by Chronic. Chronic's gonna take a shot of his own. Calm's gonna send this out into the corner, and OG start to try and make their attack.
Calm trying to stay with this play after he looked like he was lined up to try and stop the block. Now Nolly having to watch that go over his head off the crossbar from JNAPS, and it's Calm given time and space. Got around first killer. That goes right to JNAPS. Chance to keep this alive. Good 50, at least keeps it available. Nolly tried to track this, but it goes away from him. He got to it, but taken away by apparently Jack. First killer, a little decoy play that Calm had to be wary of. Things have slowed down quite a bit here between both OG and Gen.G, as now JNAPS again trying to at least set up a second chance opportunity. The whiff there from Calm, no bueno. Coming back the other way, first killer almost got the bump in the air. Now it's a 3-on-1. This time Calm jumps in, and very fortunate that that shot was wide. Gen.G gonna want that one back, and they did get him all again. And first killer scores off a defender, and that's how Gen.G Mobile One Racing finally breaks the ice in game 4.
I was getting a little worried there for a second when first killer was having a couple of those wide or like slightly off target shots, but he's back in it. You saw it on target. Gen.G, they get their lead again. Now this is very nerve-wracking for OG because every time Gen.G has gone into the lead so far in this series, they have not been able to come back. They've been able to answer, but not extend that lead, and obviously that is not what they want. They want to take Gen.G to game 5. You've got 2 minutes to tie this one up, and then some. First killer's gonna put this one into the mid, but JNAP's there to collect. Over one with the demo, floater towards that net there, but Jack to send it off. Noli's gonna take it back. First killer, small touch, just getting bumped off of it, but Chronic able to bail him out, allowing Gen.G to push forward into that OG half, but as soon as it starts, it ends.
Nolly tracking this as he Read where first killer was headed. J-Naps from the ceiling. Oh, he missed, and then Calm got nudged from behind by first killer. Otherwise, he had a wide open net. That was still dangerous out of Noli. And now Calm, second touch, no. J-Naps deflected away by Chronic. And now can Noli keep this alive? No, he cannot. As first killer, the clear and the demo, Gen.G hanging on by a thread to a 1-0 lead, but not for long perhaps. Calm now. Looking over towards J-Naps. Will he take over? No, it's intercepted by first killer. Can Gen.G double their lead? Yes, they can!
You saw the play all the way from the mid. As soon as first killer got it, you knew that he was going to try and set somebody up. Chronic, it was just pure synergy at that point. It was the center to in, 2-goal lead, 56 seconds left for OG to now have to find 2 goals in this. As Con sends this one up over to J-Naps. If there's somebody that can find his way through, it would be him. This one off the backboard, shot off the post. It could float in, and it does come. Able to get OG Esports lead cut in half.
Palm scores his first goal of the series and almost screaming at the computers like, please go in. It does. 2-1 with 46 seconds. So when it looked like Gen.G had kind of pulled it out of reach, OG's right back in it. Another clever kickoff all the way across. Calm! Oh, a blistering shot and saved by Chronic, who just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Absolute laser beam of a shot earlier, but you're gonna need to try it again. Here comes Noli, wants to take one. Chronic holds him in his place. 23 seconds to go. First killer around Noli. No boost in the tank. Most he can do is 50 forward, and he does. Calm trying to get into position. He's just bobbing and weaving through the entire defense enough that it takes a double commit for OG to fend off Appjack's shot. And with 7 seconds to go, you would need almost more than a miracle at this point. This one, as soon as it hits the ground, Gen.G Mobile One will know that bringing first killer on was absolutely the right move for them.